Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another fun edition of Spanning the Need. I'm your host, Anthony Spano. Tonight, we got a good special guest that's from the Mahoning Valley. She's on your radios nonstop. Kelsey Webb from the Dave and Jimmy Show. Kelsey, thanks for joining me.
Oh, my heavens. What a pleasure. This is so exciting. I really don't do a lot of things like this. I do have a podcast about Columbus, but I've never been on someone's podcast.
So the tides will turn.
Yes, totally ready.
So Kelsey, you're from the Mahoning Valley. You went to Youngstown Ursuline. You graduated from there. So talk about your career and your route from kind of the Mahoning Valley to where you are now.
Okay, so I grew up on the north side on Ohio Avenue near Wick Park. And so when people are in Columbus and they say, I'm from Youngstown, I'm like, sure, Boardman, Poland. I'm really from Youngstown. I grew up with my mom. I was an only child, and my mom raised me by herself. And she sent me to parochial schools, which wasn't easy financially. And I went to Ursuline, where I was a cheerleader and in plays. And I really loved being in plays and acting. And that's when I decided I was going to become a famous actress. That really panned out. So I was Dolly in Hello, Dolly. And that just launched my career. And so I went to Ohio State and graduated in journalism. Loved Ohio State. I've never left Columbus since. And I did an internship in the sports information department at Ohio State, where I met a man in the press box at an OSU football game who works in radio. And I happened to just be placed next to him in assigned seating. And he said, hey, do you want to come into the station sometime? That led to me getting a job doing the overnight news on an AM station here in Columbus. And that put me in position to get my job on our morning show on the FM station when they let go of their most recent female host. So I had a lot of things go right. It was a lot of luck. I had no business starting in radio in Columbus. I should have started like in Steubenville. But I did it and I proved myself. And that was 15 years ago. So I've been on this morning show for 15 years, which is incredible. And back to acting, I feel like I get to do that every day. Although I am myself on the radio, we're just silly and laughing and trying to entertain you, which is what actors do. So I think it kind of all worked out. That was my husband's in the background being rude. So it all worked out. It was amazing. Just knowing the right people, convincing them to give me a chance. And here I am. I started when I was 24 years old on the show, and now I'm almost 40. So I've gone through a marriage, 2 kids. I used to be the young, cute girl on the show. Now I'm the old mom. It's really fun.
Well, you talk about kind of you were the old mom, but have you so it's kind of like growing up with you. Like people that were in college listened to you on the radio. Now they may have, like you mentioned, you had kids, you have a great husband and a great family. Have you kind of gotten that vibe from a lot of your viewers that, hey, we've grown up with you. Now we have the exact same, like we were in college, we have kids, we have a husband. Have you kind of got that from your viewers?
Totally. And it's just mind blowing and so weird. Dave and Jimmy, the hosts of the show that I'm on, they've been on for 25 and 30 years. So they literally have people that were in the womb who grew up just driving to school with their moms having our channel on. And now they're college grads. It's just so weird. And yeah, when I go places, people say, oh, I listened to you when I was 5. And I'm like, ew. But it's a blessing. And the cool thing about AC and Kelly is that, everyone knew who they were growing up in Youngstown. And my ears would be peeled to Hot 101 when there was a school closing. And I loved them. And when I was a cheerleader, they had us on for the Ursuline Mooney game on their show. And I still have a VHS of it. And it's just such a full circle moment because later on, Dave and Jimmy became syndicated, and we were on in Youngstown for quite a few years. We aren't anymore. But then we were AC and Kelly's competition. So cool to be on in my hometown and actually up against these just famous, revered radio hosts. So
you were what, like you were on the radio with them because of that game of the week?
Yes. So it was, Ursuline Mooney game, the big rivalry, and they invited the Ursuline cheerleaders on and the Mooney cheerleaders on. And, we made up a little cheer and we were on live with them, and we had to get up at 6 a.m. or something. And, our little cheer was ACKELLY, helps in the morning to get by. Something else. Hot 101 just can't be beat. Hot 101 just can't be beat. Yeah. It was really
good old days.
Yeah, brilliant cheer. Yeah.
Well, hey, you probably needed to think of something on the spot.
You're right. But it was
well. Let's talk a little bit. You kind of were at the right place at the right time.
Yes.
You kind of this opportunity to be on the Dave and Jimmy show. What were you expecting when you were going into this show? Because a newly graduate, kind of really young at the time, you were like, okay, good, I'm with Dave and Jimmy. What were you kind of like? Were you like your hopes were high? Like, hey, I'm ready to do this?
Not at all. I was terrified every single day. So what happened was the woman who was doing my job left, and someone in the building, I would have never considered trying out for this show because it was so above me. Someone in the building suggested it, and I thought, well, maybe I could do that. And that started a 3-month-long tryout process because naturally Dave and Jimmy wanted to get some professional from a big market to fill the position. And they would wine and dine these women and fly them in from big cities. And I would just show up there every day for 3 months because I was local, and I would do the news. And I really cried a lot, and I never expected to get the job. And then I think they just settled on me because I kept showing up. 3 months later, I never expected a lot of mic time. I never expected to be a star. Not that I am now, but it has taken several years to feel comfortable and to find my groove there and to build the chemistry between us so that we all know our place on the show, what's expected of us, what the listener wants from us. And now I'm in a place where I'm totally comfortable, and we're really just having a conversation every day for 5 hours. And that feels really awesome that that's my job, just shooting the S with some friends. And it's just a really interesting environment. It's intimate in there. You go to another office place and there's a bunch of people. It's just basically the 4 of us with our producer. And we have benchmarks in the show. We know things that we're going to talk about, celebrities, weather, news, and then in the 7 o'clock hour every day, we try to think of something that will make you laugh on your way to work. And it's super fun. It's absolutely my dream job. But in the beginning, my self-esteem was so low, and I couldn't get out of my head. I was always in my head. What are people thinking of me? And that took a lot of time to feel comfortable in my position and in my skin there.
Well, and I think you've kind of come a long way. I mean, like you said, you've been there 15, 16 years, and do you feel that you have really made a mark as someone that can really do what's right with the group and really talk about Because if you really look at it, if you're in this type of business, you're really sharing everything about your life in some capacity.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm known as TMI Kelsey. I always tell too much, and but I really think that, you know, I didn't know what my niche would be coming into this, but it turns out that I'm relatable and I'm just like everyone else. And I've got mom struggles and self-esteem struggles, and I laugh at all of those issues and enjoy that we all are struggling together. So I think that, you know, coming into it, there is a stereotype of two guys and a girl on a morning radio show: the deer, the dick, and the doe. So a nice guy, a rude guy, and just a woman with her eyes in the headlights and laughing along. And for a long time, I did just laugh along. But now I know that our female listeners depend on me to provide a female point of view. We have a chauvinist on the show, Jimmy, so I have to, I put him in his place all the time, and that's super fun. And I used to take all that stuff personally, but I know that we just have fun with it now. And I've evolved from being, you know, the young millennial point of view to the soccer mom point of view, and the struggles of motherhood and just navigating coming of age as a woman, you know?
Well, and I think you show you're almost like a role model to a lot of different people out there, no matter who you look at, because you're sharing those stories that they can relate to. And I think that's what some people don't know is you're just a soccer mom, like you mentioned, but there are a lot of other soccer moms going through the exact same thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't love motherhood. I love my kids, but like I learned during the pandemic that I'm a much better part-time mom than a full-time mom. I don't sugarcoat the realities of just day-to-day life, you know, and I talk about when I get in an argument with my husband, or I lose my temper, or I have to apologize, and just knowing that we're all in this together, and we are just, I know it's not like we're these cool superstars, but we are just two guys and a girl that happen to get cool jobs, and then we talk about our lives. I'm a horrible singer, and after all of these years, I finally realized that I was a terrible singer in Hello Dolly at Ursuline High School, and I thought I was amazing.
Hey, I'm a horrible singer too, and my wife's a tremendous singer.
Is she? Well, I was in a play with her, you know.
Oh, you were?
Yes, I think that was maybe Irene.
I'm gonna have to mention that to her and see what she says.
She was a dancer? Yeah, I believe so.
So now, has radio changed the last 15 years? Because we're looking at iPhones and just a lot going on. How has the industry changed?
Oh, tremendously. Well, Jimmy used to say that we could go out and bring our show to a city. We used to have this band. It was a joke, and these people would treat us like rock stars. And because that was one of the only options for entertainment. And so everyone knew us. Now that is not the case. There are so many options for how we consume entertainment throughout the day and in the morning and in our cars with phones and streaming, that the landscape has totally changed. So how I work for iHeart, and we have tried to combat those changes with the iHeart Radio app. and which has streaming and music, and that has helped a lot. We have a podcast. We turn our show into a podcast every day. So if you can't listen live, you can listen to the highlights. We've been really, really, really lucky that iPhones and streaming haven't just totally ruined us. We still hold a unique spot that people want to hear what's going on locally. They want to hear about the Buckeyes, and you can't get that on a podcast. I guess you probably could. But live in your car on the way to work, what's happening right now? What is the local news? And no matter what, before the pandemic, people were still in their cars, and it was just the easiest free option to just turn on your radio. So we haven't suffered a whole lot because of that, but that was before the pandemic. Since the pandemic hit, people are not in their cars in the morning. They are at their houses. They are not turning on their radios. So our listenership is down a lot, and it has been very tough. And I know that, every company is losing a lot of money. So, it is a concern. Every day is a gift that people still want to listen to us, and their company still wants to employ us. And it's been tough to navigate. But I'm on a station, WNCI, that has been around for a gazillion years. We call it a heritage station. People grow up with it. So thankfully, people know our station. They love it. It's like the default station. We have a really powerful signal. So those things have all helped us weather the storm in these times.
Now, as we know, we're probably almost a year and a couple months out when they shut down kind of the state of Ohio. Did they move you towards home, or were you kind of still going into the studio? How did that help? Because I've heard a lot of different stories about how work relations, they closed down offices, they closed down a lot of different stations, and kind of really were scrambling at the time.
Yes. So I was home doing the show from my basement for 2.5 months. And so was Jimmy. Dave was in the studio, but they wanted to, lessen the exposure and just have one person running the board. You always need someone in the building to run the board. And it was terrible. Personally, not being able to get out and go to work every day. And then I would just walk up the stairs in my pajamas, and there would be my kids wanting to play all day. And I'm used to taking a nap every day because I get up at 3:30, and that was gone. But the worst thing was the delay. We couldn't communicate with each other. And I know that the radio stations across the country who sent their shows home, they all experienced that delay. And so, the chemistry wasn't there. You're jumping on each other. Yeah, I have a friend, Gandhi. She used to be on our show, and now she's on Elvis Duran and out of New York City. So, huge. But they have all been remote this entire time. So she can do the show from anywhere with a little machine and just signs on. But thankfully, I've been back in the studio since last May. And but our office building is totally different. The entire sales force is all at home. The bosses aren't there. It's kind of like you're there without the principal, and that's kind of fun.
But they can still hear you.
Yes, they're still listening. But I much prefer going in but even since we've gone back, Jimmy has some underlying health conditions. So he's been in another room the whole time. He comes in, but he's in a different studio. So even that has affected the chemistry and just feeding off each other,
Because you can't actually, you're in the same room, but you're unable to see how they respond to something. You may be on a delay, so you're waiting for that laugh, and it's like 5 seconds later. And you're kind of like, oh, is he laughing or what's? So you can't actually respond in kind.
Right. Yeah. And you just feel crappy about the whole thing. Like, are we being entertaining? Can the listener notice? I mean, a lot of that, we still take that very seriously, even though we're just, having a conversation. We care a lot if we're entertaining and if we're doing a good show. I mean, that's very important to us. And, it brings the morale down when we don't have a great show or things aren't clicking. And of course, that's going to happen because we're human and with the technical delays. But when we're vibing and everything's going right and we're making fun of each other and we're laughing a lot, there's nothing like that feeling.
What have been some of the best experiences that you've had on the show? I mean, everyone, there's always the highs and lows of every job, no matter what it is. What have been some of kind of like those high notes during your experience with the Dave and Jimmy show?
I've had these amazing experiences. I went to the Vancouver Olympics, the London Olympics, the royal wedding in London, the Grammys multiple times, American Idol finale. I've been to LA 20 times with Jimmy for different shows and award shows, and the Super Bowl in Tampa, spring break. We did a bit where we drove to Uranus, Missouri as a joke. Bonnaroo. And then the celebrities, it's so cool. Like, I've met Taylor Swift and Rihanna like 4 times, and Justin Bieber and Ricky Martin going back years ago, Chris Martin from Coldplay. I mean, I get to this access to these people that your average person would never get to meet. And that is fascinating. But it also is just a lesson that all those people are just normal people. They had a lot of luck going for them and talent, and they're just normal people living a celebrity life.
Well, has there been any one celebrity that you kind of like? There's always that one that you can't talk to someone, or you can't say hi to because you're just so shocked that they're in front of you.
Yeah.
Who was that kind of like you were shocked to meet that you've been probably wanting to meet your whole life?
T Swizzle. So Taylor Swift, we all know that she is just a consummate professional, and the way that she has her fans meet her, she makes it an experience that you'll never forget. You get a backstage tour first, and then you go into this like vibe room, and it's all decorated and catered, and she doesn't make you wait forever, and she comes on in and spends like 10 minutes with each person, and that was pretty surreal. Like, you can't get much bigger than Taylor Swift. And in the beginning, just the lesser celebrities just left me awestruck. Like, I've met the Kardashians, but once you meet Taylor Swift, I don't know if you can get much better than that. Oh, also, we've talked to like President Obama on the phone. We've talked to Biden on the phone. Before I was on the show, Jimmy interviewed Paul McCartney on the phone.
That would have been an interesting conversation with Paul McCartney, just with all that years of experience, just with music and just what has happened in general.
Well, we always, our slant is always to make it entertaining. So what Jimmy did was he put Paul McCartney on 3-way with his parents, and his angle was that his brother is a doctor and his sister's on Home Shopping Network, and he's never really been able to live up to their notoriety, but can they get Paul McCartney on the phone to say hi to you? So they connected them all, and his dad said hello, and Paul said, "Well, hello there, Jim. I'm Sir Paul McCartney." And, he's like, "No, you aren't," It was just stuff like no one else gets to do something like that. How cool is that,
It's like one of those prank phone calls, like, you're not hung up.
Right, yes. There's no way you're Paul McCartney, but it was. It's so, so cool. Just surreal.
Well, what was probably one of your best interviews?
So I think that my top two celebrities, aside from Taylor Swift, would be Chris Martin and Ricky Martin. And I know Ricky Martin is kind of old now, but what struck me about Chris Martin was these celebrities come in and you ask them a bunch of questions and they answer them, and hopefully they're entertaining or interesting. But every time we asked Chris Martin a question, he would ask us a question. And I was like, you don't care about us, but he did. And he actually had a conversation, and he was interested about our jobs too, or maybe he was faking it, but I thought that was so unique. No one has ever asked us anything. And then Ricky Martin was so spiritual and loving and just the most kind, average person, not at all affected by his stardom. And that was awesome. And we've also watched Justin Bieber and his evolution. When he first came into our studio, I think he was 15, and he tried to get our intern's phone number. And we said, this guy's a joke. Jimmy always said that he strummed his guitar with his thumb, and we said, he's never going anywhere. And so we had a big event, and we put him on stage, and we didn't even put him live on the radio. We made him play during a commercial. And now look at Justin Bieber. Also, we had an opportunity to interview Katy Perry in the early days, and it was at 1 p.m., I think, and that's when Dave and Jimmy nap, and they refused to come in and interview her and said, she'll never go anywhere. So we've had a lot of moments like that where we really whiffed on a celebrity, and now they're a big deal.
Well, I mean, how do you know? You know what I mean? It's just one of those things, like they're either going to make it or they're not.
Right.
What have been some fun skits that you guys have done online on the show that really were just fun and people really responded to?
Right. So we're
kind of have fun on the radio, but you need to kind of just kind of enjoying the skit or enjoy.
Right. Oh gosh. I mean, there's literally been thousands, but off the top of my mind, last week we did an ice bucket challenge where women supposedly have a higher threshold for pain. And so we have to stick our hands in a bucket of ice and see who could win. And of course, it sounds like stupid, but then it's all how we react and how it unfolds that hopefully is entertaining. But we've done the dumbest stuff. Like before COVID, on a dare, I chewed up a bagel and spit it into Jimmy's mouth, which you probably could never do that again. I've eaten a salad off of his foot. This is stuff that my grandma is ashamed of when I tell her. We made a strawberry sundae on my pregnant belly when I was 9 months pregnant, and Jimmy had to eat it off of my stomach. I've shot a machine gun at a shooting range. That was like the first bit I ever did. We call them bits. Gosh, we've reenacted several plays. Like when Prince died, we reenacted a scene from Purple Rain, and I sang Nothing Compares to You, and it was just horrific. And we've done.
Well, I think that the part that people, it's just a good time. You're getting paid to do a fun job.
Right. Yeah. I mean, how?
But you're really not. You're getting up in the morning to do something you love. So you'd rather get paid like $1,000 than $1 million job that you don't like.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And it does still feel like a job. When I'm getting up at 3:30 in the morning and I'm tired, and you're trying to feed the baby before you leave, and I'm always tired. That's one thing about this job. You're always tired. And we all get made fun of our need for naps, and I cannot function without a midday nap. And And then, the criticism that you get from the listeners and when you mess up and how terrible you feel, or when you're not funny, or when you disappoint someone. And, in the early days, there were comments online about my body, about my weight, about my performance. And I saw, oh yeah. And I read them and I was devastated. I don't really now there's just social media for people to troll on. And most people are very nice to me. They're mean to Jimmy because I'm the nice person on the show. But still, you get one mean comment and it affects your day. And all of these people have access to your vulnerabilities. And that's not always easy.
Yeah. So let's go back. So let's quickly talk that if there was kind of like that one interview that you really wanted to, what person you'd want to interview kind of before you retire or kind of in the future, who would that be? Because I know you can't really get you can't get almost above Taylor Swift.
That is true. I would like to do an Oprah style sit down interview with Britney Spears. Which is not happened. Yeah, I mean, all the controversy around Britney. Is she free? Is she under everyone else's rule? I've never met Britney. Dave and Jimmy have met Britney. That'd be pretty cool. Let me think. Is there anyone else huge that I would like to meet? I mean, I'd like to say someone like Madonna, but I hear she's mean, so that would be disappointing.
Right.
Maybe someone like a role model. Maybe like
we'll get there. Don't worry, we'll get there. I got. So, what does the future hold for Miss Kelsey Webb?
So I feel like I had no business getting this job and staying there so long. And I am the luckiest person ever. So I don't have aspirations to go anywhere else. I have no interest in moving to a bigger city so I can be on a bigger show. I am so happy right where I am. I love Columbus. My family is in Northeast Ohio, Youngstown and Akron, and my husband's family is in Akron. And it's great to be close to them. And if I got fired tomorrow and they brought in my cardboard box, I have no plan B. Jimmy always jokes that his plan Bs are to open a bakery, work at a hotel, open a bar. I think I would just cross that bridge when I got there. And hopefully I've made enough connections in this city over all of these years that it would all pan out the way it's supposed to.
Can he cook?
No. He loves the smell of a bakery, and he loves that when people go to a bakery, they're so happy. And he's not even like, a joyful guy. So I don't even know why he wants to bring joy to others.
Hey, you never know. It depends. Someone has probably a lighter side to him. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, there's something sweet about it. And then he likes the idea of being a concierge at a hotel because everyone's happy at a hotel because they're traveling and they're, experiencing something new, or maybe they're on a trip or a vacation.
Well, as long as he can pick the right hotel, like maybe the Caribbean or something like that.
Amen, right?
Exactly. I appreciate you taking time, Kelsey. I know you're kind of real busy during the day and you're up at 3:30 in the morning. So I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I mean, when I was at Ohio State, I was writing for a newspaper. There was no such thing as podcasts. And this has just been a pleasure and a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. Now, at the end of each episode, I'd like to have some fun with my guests with some fun questions. And so, are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
And for the record, she does not know what the questions are.
No clue.
So So what was your best experience? Now, so the answer can be personal or professional. It could be
Okay.
anything. There's really no right or wrong. It's more of your prerogative. What's been your best experience?
In my whole life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ah, starring as Dolly in Hello Dolly at Ursuline High School.
Okay.
Okay, so I never thought I would get that role, and I was totally ready to be like in the chorus or something. And Cookie Pesh was the director. She was a famous director in the Youngstown area. And I'm walking down the hallway at Ursuline High School, and my friend Emily McBain, another cheerleader, says, "Kelsey, you got Dolly," because they put the list up with Dolly Levi and then the name. And I was like, wait, what? It was just like, it was like I had hit the lottery. And that Cookie saw something in me and she believed in me. And I think that was a pivotal moment for my confidence, because I didn't have a lot of it. And it kind of made me have hope that I'm capable of being something that is authentic to me and that will bring me joy, and that life is going to work out. So corny.
And it did. You landed a great opportunity. You have a great family, great husband and kids.
Right. Yes.
Best memory.
Best memory. You know, I had a blast at the royal wedding in London before everyone hated Meghan Markle and Harry. But, you know, it was just like I was high on drugs when that carriage went by, and I'm right there in the front row and her tiara is sparkling. And it's just like, this is the most unique experience. Who gets to do this? And it was definitely one of the highlights of my career. And it was this beautiful sunny day in London, and it's never sunny in London. And just witnessing history, that was really cool.
Okay. What's your best accomplishment?
Getting to know myself. Before, I used to think that I had to be someone that you wanted me to be instead of just who I am, and that who I am wasn't good enough. And that's taken a lot of years and therapy and you know, pain, going through some good times and bad times. And you know, if I could go back to my 20s right now, not in a heartbeat. I am so happy being 39 because of the wisdom and the experience, the life experience that makes me more comfortable in my skin.
Don't you wish our 39 selves can tell our 24-year-old selves a couple things?
Oh man, I'm so lost. Oh, never again. I would never do the 20s again.
I would do the 20s if I had the wisdom of 39.
Right. Of course. Yes. But that's not
There's a
possible.
lot of things. Exactly. There's a lot of things I'd go back and say, hey, Tony, you should have never done this. You should have did this. And yeah, exactly. Who's your role model?
Who is my role model? My husband. He's standing right here. Just kidding. I'd have to say my mom. You know, she was a postal carrier on the north side of Youngstown for 35 years, and she raised me on her own. And she always believed in me, and just the unconditional love and the work ethic that she instilled in me. And she had a tough life, and we had a tough life together. And we've grown together over the years, and I really owe it all to her.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about who you'd want to kind of interview.
Mm-hmm.
So this one kind of goes a little bit farther. If there was one person you would want to meet past or present,
Oh, gee.
who would it be and why? These are probably more tough questions than the ones I just asked you earlier.
I know it. Let's see. Well, I love top 40 music. I also have my own guilty pleasures or music that no one knows of. Like, have you ever heard of Rufus Wainwright? No.
I have not.
I think I'd like to have, we do a lot of superficial fun stuff. I think I'd like to have a really deep conversation with someone, like the Dalai Lama.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Something just totally off the grid.
Nothing wrong with that. Kelsey, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm glad we could have this fireside chat, as we like to call it, with a little bit of problems, but we got through it.
Absolutely. And good luck with your career. And I'm proud of you. And you're making Youngstown proud. And I had a great time.
I appreciate it, Kelsey. Everyone, thank you for joining me tonight. If you want to see more interviews, podcasts, and announcements, please go to anthonyvspano.com. Everyone, stay safe and God bless. Kelsey, stay